Crystal had started to make a name for herself at Royal Diamonds Academy. At first, she had only wanted to blend in, but her intelligence, charm, and quiet confidence began to draw people toward her. She was fiercely independent, always acing her tests, and even tutoring some students in subjects they struggled with. Slowly, her classmates started respecting her, even the ones who were unsure of her at first. But the biggest surprise, Kenneth. At first, he was just observing her from afar. He wasn't used to girls rejecting his friendship. They always wanted to be around him. But Crystal was different, and that intrigued him. He started sitting near her in class, accidentally choosing the same group project as her. But the real moment that changed things was his encounter with her at the library. Crystal was a bookworm. She spent most of her free time in the school's grand library, lost in novels and history books. One day, as she flipped through the pages of a literature textbook, a shadow fell over her. "You like Shakespeare?" a voice asked. She looked up and it was Kenneth. "What do you want?" she asked, unimpressed. "To read," he said. And to her surprise, he actually did. He grabbed a book and sat right across from her, flipping through the pages. At first, she ignored him, but day after day, he kept coming back. Soon, he started asking her about books, pretending not to understand certain passages just to get her to explain. One day, she finally asked, "Why are you suddenly so interested in books?" Kenneth leaned in, his eyes holding a teasing glint. "Because I'm interested in the girl who reads them." She rolled her eyes, but couldn't hide the small smile forming at the corner of her lips. Yhovine saw all of it, and she hated every second of it. 1 week later, the school board released the list of final candidates for head girl. Crystal wasn't even thinking about it, so when she passed by the notice board and saw her name at the top, her heart skipped a beat. Crystal Johnson, written boldly. Students gathered around, whispering excitedly. Then came the next name, Yhovine Daniels. There was silence everywhere. Then a murmur. 2 of them? Wow, this will be interesting. The last sentence made Yhovine's blood boil. The very thought of Crystal standing next to her, competing against her, stealing her attention, was unacceptable. She stormed out of the crowd, rage bubbling inside her. She needed to do something. That night, Yhovine dialed a number furiously. "What the hell is taking you so long?" she screamed. "I need a debt on her now." The voice on the other end sighed. "I have something, but it will cost you ₦1,000,000. Without hesitation, Yhovine transferred the money. A few seconds later, a file popped up in her messages. She opened it, and then she smiled wickedly. "Finally, Crystal, you will wish you never left America." The next day, the school auditorium was packed. Teachers, parents, and students filled the seats, buzzing with excitement as the candidates prepared their speeches. Crystal sat on the stage, her hands resting calmly on her lap. She had prepared a powerful speech, one about leadership, kindness, and the importance of standing up for what is right. Finally, it was her turn. She stood confidently, holding the microphone, and delivered a speech so perfect that the audience erupted into an applause. She smiled proudly, glancing towards the crowd, catching a glimpse of Kenneth, watching her, nodding in approval. But before she could step down, a voice rang out. "Wait." Yhovine stood up, holding a smug expression, microphone in hand. "Since we are allowed to ask questions," she said, "I have a very important one for Crystal." Crystal tensed. She knew this wouldn't be good. "Is it true that your mother is a whore?" The crowd gasped. Crystal's eyes widened in shock. "Excuse me," she whispered. Yhovine smirked. "Oh, honey, don't act like you don't know." She pulled out her phone. "I have pictures. Do you all want to see?" She held up images of Crystal's mother in modeling outfits, revealing dresses, swimsuits, high-fashion lingerie. The crowd murmured. Some laughed, Others whispered. Crystal clenched her fist. My mother is a supermodel. Those pictures were for professional photo shoots, she defended. Yhovine giggled. A supermodel, she said mockingly. Then tell me, Crystal, if she's just a model, how did she become so rich? Everywhere was silent. I mean, from what I gathered, Yhovine continued, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. Your mother left Nigeria 17 years ago, pregnant with a bastard child. Oh wait, that's you. Broke and alone. So tell me, how did she make so much money? Unless, of course, she was selling more than just pictures. The auditorium fell dead silent. Kenneth's jaw tightened. Crystal felt her throat close up. Yhovine leaned in for the final kill. Do you even know who your father is? Tell us, Crystal, who is your father? Or is your mother just a whore who doesn't even know who the father of her child is? Crystal's eyes welled with tears. She turned and ran off the stage. Yhovine smirked triumphantly. As Crystal disappeared through the doors, Yhovine grabbed the mic one last time. I'm just saying, do we really want someone with such low morals in her family representing our school? I don't think so. The audience exploded into chaos. Crystal ran as fast as she could, her vision blurred by tears. She had never felt so humiliated in her entire life. Kenneth stood up, his fists clenched. He had seen a whole lot of things, but this was evil. He turned to Yhovine, his face a mix of disgust and anger. You've gone far this time, Yhovine. The confrontation. Crystal sat on the couch, waiting. Her mother had been gone for hours. The house was eerily silent, but inside Crystal's chest, a storm raged. She had spent the entire evening replaying the scene at school. Yhovine's words, the whispers, the laughter, the humiliation. Then, the sound of keys rattling at the front door. Crystal's mother stepped inside, looking drenched, her face slightly swollen, as if she had been crying too. She barely had time to set her bag down before Crystal spoke. Mom, her mother froze. Crystal's voice was low but firm. Who is my father? A heavy silence filled the room. Her mother's eyes immediately darted away. Crystal, not tonight. I'm exhausted. She moved toward the kitchen, but Crystal blocked her path. Not tonight. When then? Crystal's voice cracked. When, Mom? When I turn 30? When I have my own kids? Or when it's too late? Her mother sighed heavily, rubbing her temples. Please, baby, just drop this. Crystal let out a bitter laugh. Drop it? Really? You've never told me anything about him. I don't even know his name. How can I drop it? His mother stiffened. Crystal swallowed hard. I deserve to know, Mom. Her mother's lips trembled. Crystal's hands balled into a fist. Tell me, Mom. Tears welled up in her mother's eyes. Then finally, she spoke. Go to bed, Crystal. Crystal's breath caught in her throat. Her heart stopped. What? She whispered. Her mother turned away. This conversation is over. I said, go to bed. Crystal felt her stomach drop. So that's it. You won't even tell me the truth. Her mother remained silent. Crystal shook her head, her tears finally falling. Crystal turned sharply and stormed to her room, slamming the door behind her. For days she didn't come out of her room. She didn't eat. She didn't speak to anyone. She just stayed there, curled up in her bed, crying her heart out. Everyone in the house was worried. Even the maid had had enough. She rushed to Crystal's mother, her voice full of concern. Madam, please, your daughter hasn't eaten anything in days. She won't open the door. She won't even say a word. Celine's heart sank. She stood up immediately and went to her daughter's room. She knocked gently. Crystal, open the door. Please, talk to me. But all she heard was pain behind a locked door. Go away, mother. I don't want to talk to you. Celine's eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing. She turned around and left the house. She had somewhere very important to go. She drove straight to an all-white mansion, glowing under the sun like a palace. There were guards everywhere, armed and alert. She walked up to one of them confidently. "Go inside and tell him that Celine Johnson is here." Moments later, she was walking into a luxurious office, grand, elegant, powerful. And sitting behind the desk was a man, handsome, fair-skinned, with grey beards that made him look even more distinguished, dressed in a rich grey agbada, looking calm and in control. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Celine, it's been a long time." But Celine wasn't here for small talk. "Don't even try it. Tell me the truth. Did you contact her behind my back? Did you reach out to my daughter?" Olumide was shocked. "No, I didn't. You never allowed me to remember." He stood up, voice soft but firm. "You may hate me, Celine, but she's my daughter too, and I want to be part of her life." Celine's eyes burned with emotion. "I raised her alone for 18 years. Olumide, 18 years. I protected her. I sacrificed for her. We don't need you." But Olumide looked her in the eye. "One day, Celine, you will have to stop hating me. I've apologized. I've asked you to marry me. I've tried. This can't go on forever." Celine couldn't take it anymore. She turned and walked out of the office. Later that night, she stood once again outside her daughter's door, but this time she said something different, something powerful. "Crystal, your father is the president." The room fell silent. Then the door slowly creaked open. Crystal stood there, face pale, eyes wide with shock. "What? What do you mean, Mom?" Her mother took a deep breath. "Your father is President Olumide Afolabi." Crystal gasped. "You told me he was dead. You lied to me." Tears filled Celine's eyes. And then she told her the whole story. How she was a young model, full of dreams. How she fell in love with a charming politician. How he promised to be there. How he sent her abroad when she got pregnant. And how he never came. "I was scared, Crystal. I felt abandoned. I decided to raise you alone, but I shouldn't have lied to you. I'm sorry." Crystal didn't shout. She didn't run. She stepped forward and hugged her mother tightly because finally she knew the truth. The next day at Royal Diamonds Academy, the whole school was buzzing. The head girl election had been postponed thanks to the drama between Crystal and Yhovine. Crystal's mom dropped her off quietly. She stepped out of the car with her head held high, but inside, her heart was still healing. As she walked through the school gates, everyone stared, whispers, glares, gossip. In the hallway, Yhovine and her three besties, Sasha, Amanda, and Toke, stood laughing loudly. Look who finally showed her face, poor little Crystal. Crystal said nothing. She didn't look their way. She ignored even Kenneth, the one boy who had always stood by her. Yhovine, feeling like she had won, walked into the classroom like a queen, throwing petty comments like confetti. But the moment she sat down, something unexpected happened. The principal walked in, sharp suit, serious face. "Crystal Johnson, someone is here to see you." And just like that, the classroom door opened, and in walked the president. Gasps everywhere. "Hello, Crystal," he said. Crystal's lips parted slowly. "Dad? Dad?" The whole class froze. "Yes, daughter. Please come with me for a moment, dear." Crystal picked up her bag and left the class with the president of the country. Mouth wide open, eyes bulging. "Wait, she's the president's daughter?" "Thank God I came to school today," another student responded. "But why is it always her? So much drama," another student added. Yhovine burst out laughing in disbelief. "This is a joke, right? That rat is not the president's daughter." She slammed her pen on the desk and shouted, "Shut up, all of you." But the truth was already out, and nothing could stop it. Crystal's bond with her father had grown stronger. Her mother finally approved, and for once, everyone was happy. Now, when Crystal arrived at school, it wasn't quietly anymore. It was in a convoy of luxury cars, security guards, flashing cameras, all eyes on her. The same students who used to whisper behind her back, now they were all rushing to say, "Hi Crystal, can we be friends?" She had become a national sensation. The whole country couldn't stop talking about her. And Yhovine, she went completely silent. No more crown, no more clique. She was slowly fading out of the spotlight. But what was coming next, she never saw it coming. That night, in her bedroom, Yhovine was scrolling through Crystal's Instagram. Millions of followers, brand deals, glamour, fame. Yhovine's eyes were full of jealousy until she suddenly heard loud sirens outside her house. She rushed to her window and froze. It was the EFCC. They were there to arrest her father. She ran outside, crying, screaming, "Please don't take my daddy, please." But it was too late. He was handcuffed and driven away. By morning, it was all over the blogs. Fraud, scandal, frozen assets. At school, it was worse. Everyone was laughing or staring or just feeling sorry for her. Even her best friends, Sasha, Amanda, and Toke, deserted her. She had lost everything, and without money, she couldn't pay her school fees. Yhovine was expelled. Back at school, Crystal had become the new head girl, and she wore the title like it was made for her. As she walked down the hallway, confident and graceful, Kenneth gently held her hand. "Hey, head girl." Crystal smiled. They were friends now, but Kenneth wasn't done. "I heard you spoke to your dad about Yhovine. She's coming back to school." "Yes, I did. But after everything she did to you, why would you do that?" Kenneth said. Crystal looked up at him and smiled again. "If she didn't do all that, I might never have been able to meet my dad. I don't hold grudges, Kenneth." Kenneth shook his head. "You're a sweet soul, Crystal." He paused, and then with a playful smile, "The school dance is coming up, and I'm taking you." Crystal folded her arms and raised her eyebrow. "I didn't say yes. Abby, is that how they ask people to dance in your village?" Kenneth grinned. "You don't have a choice." He walked away and stood there, smiling. And Crystal also stood there, smiling and blushing foolishly. Because in the end, the girl who was mocked now walked like a queen, loved, respected, and finally free. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting African stories that would touch your heart and leave you smiling. I hope you enjoyed every bit of the story, as this is the end, and I mean the end and the end and the end of the beauties of Royal Diamonds Academy. I hope you enjoyed the story from part 1 down to part 2. Bye. Thank you.